Okay, Representative Tapke, you have a motion and a couple of amendments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. Yes, we have moved 1322 to be re-referred to the Public Safety Committee.
Okay, we have a motion to move House File 1322 to Public Safety and to your amendments.
And then we have the DE1 amendment, which just takes 1322 and puts it in the format that we'd like to talk about for transit safety in the next phase.
Okay. And again, this is the bill, members, so we're just getting the bill in the shape that the author would like us to consider it in. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the motion prevails. So we now have the DE1 before us. Representative Tapke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. I first want to start off by thanking everyone here. We have been talking a lot in Transportation Committee about transit safety and the needs that are there, and I just appreciate the chair and everyone's time to have full, robust conversations about the needs on transportation, but also where we on transit, but also where we want to go with things and what we want our transit system to be into the future here in Minnesota, throughout the state of Minnesota, and then especially in the metro as well. And so what we've got is we've been talking about this for at least I've been talking about this since 2019 is when we started this project. So this DE1 amendment, what this does is takes what we've already talked about with the intervention program to make sure that we have intensive work being done to help people who need help, but also enforce the rules that we have, and being a good transit rider, and being creating a safe and comfortable ride for everyone. And so this takes that first phase and also combines it with what we've been working on for years now, which is creating Transit Ambassador Program, which is now Transit Rider Investment Program, so TRIP personnel. And what this does is it puts additional eyes and ears on throughout the entire transit system, and takes and creates administrative citations so that we have anybody who is authorized is able to enforce the code of conduct, that they are able to enforce fair payment, but also to make sure that they are available and able to help people who need help, and to carry Narcan and other things. And so I am just open for questions as we discuss exactly what the bill will do in the limited amount of time, Chair.
Let's thank you. We'll have your testifiers first, and then members, we can go a few minutes over today, which I anticipate we will. So let's get to the testifiers first, and then we'll have committee discussion and questions. And I'm going to ask the testifiers 2 minutes, please, and I'll be pretty rigid on that one. So Mr. Shetman is first, followed by Mr. Schroeer.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. I'm Judd Shetman with the Metropolitan Council. I'm the Government Affairs Director, and I will be very brief here, knowing that we are short on time, but I am going to echo Representative Tapke's comments and thanking the members of the committee. This committee in particular has been very supportive of this work that we're doing on transit safety and security, and we support Representative Tapke's efforts here again this year, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with him as this bill progresses through the committee process. And as Chair Zelli has mentioned in the past, this is a priority for us as well, and we want to make sure that we are finding the sweet spot and being able to provide additional eyes and ears on the system, but also make sure that we're not making a fare evasion a misdemeanor. And we think that moving forward with this administrative citation program is by far the way to go. So I'm going to stop there. You've heard from me many times, and so thank you very much, and thank you, Representative Tapke, and look forward to continue to working with folks on this.
Thank you, Mr. Shetman. Thank you for all of your work over many years on this issue. Next, we have Mr. Will Schroeer.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. My name is Will Schroeer. I am the Executive Director of East Metro Strong, and I thank the Representative Tapke for this work as well. Like Mr. Shetman, I've been before this committee a couple of times, and I don't want to repeat myself. On the other hand, we have some new members, and I want to sort of remind everybody of some of the national best practice bases that this work draws on. When Representative Tapke first started this conversation, East Metro Strong members were also very interested in improving safety. They commissioned a conversation with chiefs of police from around the country who had started similar programs to see what their experience had been. And our research is going to be shared with you by the committee administrator. Thank you to that. I want to hit just a couple of high points. The first is that the proposed approach in this bill is a national best practice. Chiefs of police and transit agencies around the country that have adopted these programs find that they work. They improve rider satisfaction, they improve safety, and as a result, chiefs of police and transit agencies around the country continue to invest in these programs. You'll see in the material when it gets circulated that the number of agencies around the country that use an approach like this is extensive. I count 20 on my slides. And I know that as the success of these programs it becomes better known, they continue to expand, and hope we get to add ourselves to that number. The last thing I'd like to then end up with is that we and other transit agencies are emerging from a COVID experience, and that's impacted agencies in a variety of ways. Want to just bring you the experience with a couple of other agencies as they have used these programs to help respond to COVID. All of the reasons that these programs work, additional presence, rider assistance, just additional eyes so that people feel like there's someone in authority in those spaces, all of those worked pre-COVID and are extra valuable during COVID at a time of reduced ridership. Literally just yesterday, SEPTA announced Bay Area Rapid Transit System announced that they were extending their program precisely because of the value that it had had during COVID and to help returning riders feel more comfortable. At the same time, LA Metro announced that its ambassador program, and that's what they call it, I like the TRIP name, LA Metro announced that their ambassador program had been so successful that they were expanding it to 300 ambassadors, and that announcement
Thank you, Mr. Schroeer, and I appreciate your bringing us these national examples. So.
Yes, thank you for your time.
And your support of this over the years. Next, we have Bentley Graves.
And Mr. Chair, as Mr. Graves comes down, Mr. Schroer's had a PowerPoint that I'll make sure gets to the entire committee.
Okay, that sounds great. Welcome to the committee, Mr. Graves. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. My name is Bentley Graves. I'm with the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce. Minnesota businesses depend upon a safe, reliable, efficient, and multimodal transportation system to get their goods to market and their employees, customers, and input materials to their door. For many employers in the metro area, the metro transit system continues to be an important means of drawing employees from across the region to their sites. For some employees, public transit is the only means of transportation available to get to and from work. In recent years, however, safety concerns within the metro transit system have increased significantly. Just weeks ago, the Met Council released new data indicating that crime on the metro transit system increased by 54% in 2022, with narcotics and weapons complaints increasing 182% and 145% respectively, and liquor law violations increasing by 92%. We support House File 1322 as an important step in addressing the safety issues that exist within the metro transit system, with a particular focus on the light rail system. We're hopeful that the bill's establishment of a new transit service intervention project on the light rail system in the coming months will begin to address the many social service challenges that often underpin and sometimes fuel the kinds of behaviors and situations that pose a safety risk to riders. It's our hope that this near-term action over the coming months will lay the groundwork for the longer-term solutions in the bill through the Transit Rider Investment Program and the increased focus on fair and code of conduct enforcement. The state and region have made and continue to make significant investments in the metro transit system, both in terms of maintaining and operating the system and in terms of continuing to build it out. However, if people do not feel safe using public transit, they won't use it. If safety concerns keep riders away, public transit cannot be the complementary component of our transportation infrastructure that we need it to be. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this input. We appreciate the leadership of Representative Tabke on this important issue, and we encourage you to support House File 1322. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Chair.
so much. Thank you for your support. And our last testifier, we have Bob again Carney Jr. testifying again. Welcome back to the committee. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bob again, Carney Jr., and I'm a registered lobbyist for We the People. And by the way, this says make transit great again. You'll be seeing more of this. At the moment, I'm not supporting this bill, and the reason is I don't think it's adequate. I parked at Dale and took the light rail in this morning. Asked one man who happened to be black, do you ride very often? He said no. I try to avoid this whenever possible because, and I can't repeat what he said after that, but it is quoted in the second paragraph of the Star Trib article I had on this, summarizing recent discussions on transit. It's a bunch of unprintable characters. And we have a huge problem here. It is really a serious problem. Now, I've been working on advocating different alternatives for transit and have not been a fan of light rail, but really we need to take back our light rail system to the point where at least people can feel safe and riding in a clean environment. So I have a 7-point plan in this article, and I would hope that some members will take a look at it and introduce it as an amendment at some point in the process of considering this bill. The basic idea is we've got 3 light rail cars typically, and we can establish a gated community by simply having certified go-to cards, making sure that people are not going to be disruptive or disobeying rules. And if they have one of those, or if they have a recent airline ticket, they can get on the car at either end. Otherwise, they're going to have to move to the middle car. We need to have a gated transit community so that people that are riding a light rail car can be assured of having a safe, clean car to ride. And this is especially important for people coming into the Twin Cities, going down to downtown via the airport. So I urge everybody to take a look at this 7-point plan to improve this bill, and I hope that it's incorporated as an amendment. And if it is, I will support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carney. Okay, members, we have 3 members that have signed up to make comments or ask questions. We'll start with Representative Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Tapke, for coming up with an actual idea for how to fix our system here, so I appreciate that. Can you shed some light on the differences between the administrative citations and the actual petty misdemeanors, the misdemeanors? Because from my understanding, an administrative citation has very little teeth, whereas something more like a misdemeanor citation would include some teeth legally. Is it just if it's a police officer who stops me when I'm on the train versus some person who has a notepad and it's got the yellow pink receipt carbon copy on it that says this is your administrative citation?
Excellent question. Vice Chair Tapke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Olson. Yeah, I think that's probably how it happened in like 1983, 84, something like that. But no, you are absolutely correct that is the goal of this. Is we need to have, like I said earlier, more presence throughout the system. It's not just this, as we talked about the intervention program specifically, that was strictly blue line and green line. That's where we need to focus right there. But this next section is throughout the entire transit system, through ABRT lines and other places as well. And so with that, it is the intent there is to have more eyes and ears out there and being able to enforce and help people who need help. So that's you are spot on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Quickly.
Chair. Yep, real quick. I appreciate it. I think it's an idea that due to the fact that we're so low on our actual peace officers here in this state and in Metro Transit in particular, more people, just anyone policing in in quotes these trains, these pieces of transit, I think it'll help if an administrative citation has almost no teeth, maybe it has a little more teeth than just letting people do whatever they want while on the train. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I've been working with Representative Tapke on this, and he's come a long way and done a lot of good things with it. I have 2 primary concerns. One is that I'm going to paraphrase, because I don't think I have it exactly right, what Chair Cagle said on the floor last night, which I think is important for us to remember. And what she said was, we are not legislating for the best of us, but legislating for the worst of us. And whereas I don't think that's true for 100% of what we do, it is oftentimes one of the reasons why we're doing the things we're doing right now. And so where this program that you have in place, I think, is really dealing for those that want to abide by the law and those that are having mental health issues and social issues, I think this works very well. But the problem is that we're also dealing with the criminal element that has already shown that they do not care to abide by the law. And so I'm not sure that we're going to get there with this, but this helps. In response to that, though, I've talked to you about two other things that I think this bill is lacking a little bit. One is that the trip personnel, nothing in their requirements says they actually have to ride the train or the bus or whatever it might be. And whereas I don't think we should prescribe that here, I do think that should be the responsibility of the manager and whatever to set up what policy and process they do in order to make sure that there is some ongoing presence in between stations as well. And the other question is just when officers and others are asking somebody to leave the car or the bus, doesn't mean they won't hop on the next one and continue to do the same situation there. So what is it we can do in order to keep that from happening? Otherwise, all we're doing is moving from one train to the next. So those are two areas that I think still need to be worked on, and I know you're still in the process of doing that, but it's giving you, hopefully giving you some food for thought. My biggest concern, though, is that the criminal element has already used this train for so much already. It's going to take a little bit extra work in the beginning in order to get that turned around, and I'm not sure this does enough for that particular section of it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
A brief response, Vice Chair Tapke, and then we'll move on to Representatives Sensor-Mura, Cagle, West, and then a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Petersburg. And yeah, I completely agree with you. There's work that we need to do here yet to make sure that those things are very clear and moving forward. So yeah, we'll absolutely continue to work together, and as we've got a few more committee stops to get there.
Thank you. Representative Sensor-Mura.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Tapke, for bringing this bill. I hesitate to comment on this op-ed commentary because I don't see the elements of this incorporated into your bill. And as far as I know, no one on this committee is going to bring this as an amendment. But partly because it was published by the prominent paper of record, I do feel the need to comment on this. We have had an approach to transit that was the gated community. We have had transit that allowed people of certain races to ride it and people of certain races to not ride it. And as I think the only person on this committee who would have at one time, closer to the 1920s, as in this op-ed is cited as the golden age of transit, not been able to ride transit, I think that whenever we're talking about safety, I think that's a really important history that we need to be remembering. I get concerned whenever I hear people kind of talk about like we need a reset, we need a moment of like extra push, extra work about who is going to be sacrificed within that. And so I just urge you to continue to remember that history as the bill goes on.
Thank you for your comments, Representative Sensor-Mura.
And
Vice Chair Tapke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Sensor-Mura. And I just want to reiterate and thank you for all of your work on this bill and helping it get forward to a place where it can absolutely make sense, because the end goal is to make sure that we have as many people as possible riding the trains, and making sure that we have as many people as possible using the transit system, and making sure that it is available and comfortable and a great ride for everyone. And so that's the goal of the bill, is exactly where you're at, and we'll continue to work forward and make that as good as possible. Thank you.
Representative Cagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Tapke, I just want to thank you really for your thoughtful approach to this. Especially appreciate the adding TRIP personnel to the administration of opioid antagonist drugs. There was also one other thing in here. Oh, the not prohibiting sleeping, because I can't tell you how many trips I've taken where I'm traveling and I just want to take a nap on the something about those trains, kind of. Anyway. and also the training piece about, opiate antagonists as well. I think that is really key. And I think, too, looking at this piece of legislation, it really just kind of reminds me of the testimony that we had from the Metro Transit PD director. And so that this piece of legislation is really focusing on, reflecting the fact that we have been leaving people behind. And we need to do better for those people. And I think this will make a big difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cagle. And we started our morning with Representative West, and we'll end our hearing with Representative West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Always gracious, and it's very much appreciated. So previously, before the massive crime wave on the light rail, we talked about in this committee a lot about fare evasion and fare enforcement. And I think that's something we've kind of forgotten is if we did better fare enforcement, I think that would have a positive impact on the environment on the light rail. So I see you have some provisions in here to help with that. And I'm curious, what do you expect, or if there's been any study done on the increase in fare enforcement with this, like the paid fare zones? And if you don't have like a number of what you expect, or what would be your goal?
Vice Chair Tapke.
Mr. Chair, Representative West. So I don't have like a monetary goal for this. Like as we had talked about this previously, the money from the that is brought in through more additional fare enforcement and those kinds of things was going to go into a pool of money to fund this program. But as we thought about that more, and as there were discussions about it, it was a feedback loop that we just don't need. And so what we hope to have happen is that this program altogether in totality is going to make it a safer, more comfortable ride for everyone, which will therefore increase fare collections and make sure that we have a more sustainable, financially sustainable system.
Yes, please, Representative West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, I wasn't so concerned about the total money. I was thinking more, and you don't have to answer this, this will just be a comment, more on the proportion of riders that are actually paying the fare. I think that the higher proportion that is, the better behavior we'll have on the light rail. So my hope as this moves forward, and this is, like many members have said, step in the right direction, is that there are more paying riders, not for more money for the government necessarily, which would be a side benefit, but that paying riders, I think we can expect to behave, more likely to behave by the code of conduct and other things that are proposed. So I think that is something that should be a goal for the very reason that I think that those two things are very highly correlated. Of more paying riders means better riders. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Final comment. Thank you, Representative West. Final comments before we vote, Vice Chair Tapke.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and everyone for the good conversation on this. I want to make sure something I neglected in the beginning to draw people's attention to is line 613 and 614, providing direct navigation assistance and accompaniment to passengers who have a disability, elderly, or request enhanced personal aid. And so what this specific item is for folks like Aiden, who we heard at our last full discussion about these bills. And so Aiden has Down syndrome and he testified in front of the committee, and he's scared and concerned about riding light rail again. So we need to make sure that we are welcoming and inviting everybody who wants and needs assistance in using the system. And so what this will do is have the trip personnel acting as navigators to help people through the system. And so if Aiden wants somebody to ride on the train with him from Apple Valley to Bloomington or whatever that is, that he has someone along with him and anybody in that same situation to help them and continue to improve the system and get more people using it where it's necessary. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and everyone for your support and feedback.
Thank you, members, for a good discussion on this bill and actually for all the bills today. With that, Representative Tabke renews his motion that House File 1322 as amended be re-referred to the Committee on Public Safety, Finance, and Policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All of those opposed, the motion prevails.